We've got a big day of racing coming up at Sha Tin on Sunday as the best horses in Hong Kong warm up for FWD Champions Day in 3 weeks' time. And joining me on the couch is one of the biggest names in Hong Kong racing. Here's what's coming up on Hong Kong Direct. The most successful trainer in Hong Kong racing history, John Moore, joins us ahead of saddling up Aethero and Beauty Generation. Plus, it was a special day at the races last week for Joe Moreira. We'll be looking back at that milestone win for him. But, John Moore, thank you for joining us on the show. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Yep.
Just looking back at the season so far, John, of course, last season you were fighting it out in the trainer's title with John Size. This season, 31 wins, 6 in the title at this point in time. How do you feel the stable's going?
Well, as John Size even said, you know, when you have these great seasons where your horses tend to get to their limit with respect to ratings, trainers will find it very hard unless they get virtual 30 or 40% influx of new blood to have any chance of winning a premiership or finishing up in the top 3. But my horses, you know, I did everything possible with them last season to win a premiership. And as I said, the ratings, you know, got very, very high. And this season we have to regroup. The horses have to re-rate themselves into a position where they can win races. So it's a bit of a struggle. I haven't got the full stable at the moment, even though I'm utilising China very, very much because I have a lot of success coming out of China, the facility over there. But if I could finish the season off with, 45 or something, just under 50, I'd be a very happy guy.
And this weekend looms as a big weekend for the stable. You must be excited to be taking Aethero back to the races after all these months off.
Definitely. He's, he could be he is a world-class sprinter as far as I'm concerned because he can go out in the 1200 and break 8. You know, any horse that can do that, you know, you've got really something on your hands. Now, his whole preparation from last season, May, when he was an outstanding Griffin, and right through to the December race, it was all very rushed. It's all part of the Hong Kong racing scene. The program dictates, and that's the way we went with him. But it really took its toll when he got to the invitation sprint, where he just got nutted. But it really took his toll on the system, and everybody knows through the vet reports that he threw a very, very high temperature. And it took a long time for him to recover from that.
All right, well, let's have a look at what Aethero will be facing when he lines up on Sunday. In the Group 2 Sprint Cup, it's race 7 on the card. Hot King Prawns coming off a tough win with a big weight last time out. John also saddles up Thanks Forever in the race. Mr. Stunning is a dual Hong Kong Sprint winner. DB Pin also a former Group 1 winner. Frankie Law's got big party in the race. Voyage Warrior is another promising sprinter, but mainly at 1,000 metres so far in his career. And the one we're all looking forward to seeing is the rocket of the racecourse, Aethero, who will line up for the first time since finishing 3rd, as John mentioned, in the Hong Kong Sprint. After the sprint, John, the talk was that you wanted to take him to Dubai for the El Quoz Sprint. As we know now, that meeting due to the coronavirus didn't go ahead. Is it sort of vindication in hindsight that you didn't press for Dubai, that you've given him a bit more time leading into Sunday now?
Definitely. I think it was a good move. He's given more time to recover from the high temperature and everything connected with that. So we've had, as I said earlier, that we've had lots of time to regroup, get him back into top form. He's had 2 trials leading into Sunday's race. So yeah, I think giving Dubai a miss was a good plan.
Fitness-wise, for his first up run since December, where have you got him at?
Well, of course, you've got to get feedback from the stable and the track, just what I'm seeing. I'm really happy with the progress that he's made since December. The feedback from Zach Purton, who's ridden him in the trials. The first trial, probably 3 weeks, a month ago, Zach got off and he just said he didn't think the horse was ready to run in that 1200, was about 2 weeks off that. So I said to him, good, we're not going to run him. We'll just concentrate on the Group 2 this Sunday. And in the meantime, we'll put a trial into him about 2 weeks out and just see how he trialled. And Zach came in and said, no, he's, may I use the word cherry ripe, and let's go for that race.
Is the Chairman's Sprint Prize at the end of the month his grand final?
Yes, it is. It's. I think I explained to the press that it's sort of an initial bout for him leading into the big one.
The preliminary.
That's the word I was looking for. Yeah, the preliminary bout, and then progressing to the Group 1 on Champions Mile Day.
So even if he's not 100%, say going into Sunday first up run, not his grand final, do you go there thinking that he'll win?
No, I still think he'll win the race. It's all positive. The feedback from the riding boys, the feedback from the stable, and what I'm seeing. I don't think this horse, he never carries condition, he's a big fellow, he's nearly 17 hands, 1,200 pounds a horse over, and he just eats up every day, but it just doesn't show when you look at this fantastic athlete. So from the point of view, I still think that he's going into the race pretty close to his best on the weekend.
He's won 5 from 7. He's still only a 3-year-old. You've been involved in this game for a long, long time, John, but do you allow yourself to get excited by a horse like Aethero?
Definitely, because he's the real deal. I've said to the owner, we could have one of the best sprinters in the world right here in Hong Kong. But we just have to nurture him a bit because he's only a 3-year-old.
And what about Thanks Forever? Particularly in his last few starts, I've thought, John, his defeat to Beat the Clock in the Group 1 sprint back in January, has he come of age with this prep, do you think?
He's been a slow maturing horse, very uncomfortable amongst horses. We all saw that when he went round the bend, the 1200 round the bend. He just wasn't a happy horse. So we had to, it was trial and error, put him in races, put him round a corner and just get him comfortable amongst horses. That we did, and we could see the light at the end of the tunnel because every run was getting better and better and better. And then the other day, he ran a great second to a very, very good horse. So, and that was over ground. So after missing the start. So from that point of view, the 1200, if he gets away cleanly, I can see him being right there in the finish. And the weather report on the weekend is for showers. I've been reminded by a few friends offshore that Dewporths excel on wet ground.
Yes, the weather forecast is for rain as well too, so that's fortuitous. So there, Aethero and Thanks Forever lining up in the Sprint Cup. More from John after the break when we talk about the stable's banner horse, Beauty Generation. It's fantastic to have your company on this week's edition of Hong Kong Direct. We're really privileged to have John Moore still with us in the studio. A lot to look forward to about Sunday, but let's look back at last weekend, a special day for the Magic Man, Joe Moreira. 5 on the day and 900 in total here in Hong Kong.
Coon ahead, Piggin, Super Rich at clear third, 2-horse war here, Piggins ahead in front of Toy Coon, then Super Rich, Piggin in front, Toy Coon gigging, they hit the line, Piggin more, Toy Coon at a lunge. What a battle, and that's 900 wins for Joe Moreira, and he's had to earn every cent to get to that 900 quote. He's a happy man, and rightly so.
There was so many, it's very hard to pick one, but if I have to mention about couples, I would point 2. When I won the international mile with Able Friend, that win was a very, very important win for me, as I wasn't here for too long, and I was able to achieve such a big thing with that horse that has got a place in my heart.
Now Able Friend with the last shot at them, and Big Red is starting to lengthen. All 1,300 pounds of him, and away he goes. Able Friend from last has put play to them quickly. Able Friend bolts up for Joe Moreira.
And no doubts that I got to mention about Rapid Dragon winning the Triple Crown. When he won the deb with me, it was such a touching moment, which I could not see that coming when I first decided to come over to Hong Kong.
Rapid Dragon, Pakistan Star's eating up the ground. Rapid Dragon in front from Pakistan Star. The puzzle now complete. Rapid Dragon takes the derby.
It's not a one-person game. It's not one person that is able to make it. Without the great support I have had so far, I will never be able to make it, and I'm just so pleased.
John, you and Joe, as we've just seen there, have shared some special times together with Able Friend, Rapid Dragon, even in Dubai with Sterling City.
Yes.
Can you just give us a bit of an insight into your working relationship, the pair of you together?
Well, Joe's very professional in the sense that he knows when horses are coming into form. He picks up on that very, very quickly, and he's on the phone very, very quickly. And with respect to Able Friend, of course, when he arrived in Hong Kong, he was still, I think, a Class 3 horse. He'd just won in the provincials or whatever. But as time went on, Joe caught a glimpse of him, and of course, that's the whole story. He ended up a world champion miler. With respect to Sterling City, when he won in Dubai, I wasn't so sure that the horse would handle the tapeta, or tapeta, or they called it. That's a sort of a polyester come sandy, oily
synthetic
base.
sort of surface they use, yeah.
And wasn't that sure, but he floated over it. It was like a mattress, actually, when I did walk it. And he won, and that was a great day for the Moore stable and Gary Ling and family. And then we move on to Rapid Dragon. Now, everybody knows when Rapid Dragon arrived in Hong Kong, he was a rogue. He hated trialling on the all-weather. His trials at Happy Valley were very, very poor. So no doubt Joe didn't pick up on that whatsoever. I was actually really worried that George and I might have bought another rather feisty, wayward individual. But as time went on, and I got one riding boy on him all the time. We worked on him, get him to settle into the stable, the Hong Kong way of life. Things turned around. And all of a sudden, we could see some light at the end of the tunnel. And as time went on, 1 or 2 runs, Joe again picked up on it. And he said, let me ride him, and let's see. And that's the story again. He went right through and won the Triple Crown Series, for 4-year-olds.
Joe's achieved some fantastic things here in Hong Kong, broken plenty of records. You've been involved in racing here since 1971, since the start of the professional era. Seen some great jockeys here in that time. If I was to put you on the spot and say who's the best you've seen in that time, John, right here in Hong Kong?
I've seen Lester Piggott ride, and the great Lester Piggott. I've seen Yves St. Martin. I've seen even my father did a bit of track work here too. I can't leave out my father.
One of the greatest jockeys of all time, if not the greatest Australian jockey of all time.
Dad was able to go to America in '49, did 6 months there, won races there, right from Tijuana up to Hollywood Park and everything. And then Dad in '59, as we all know, moved over to ride for the Ali Khan, the Aga Khan's father. For 2 years, and then in '67 he was invited over by Sir Noel Merlis to ride for Jim Joel. So Dad had a fabulous life, and was able to win all the big races in the respective countries that he rode in. But with respect to jockeys, you'd have to go back and say, of course, Lester Piggott, and then from then on. I saw the likes of Edery ride here, the likes of Bill Hardtack won the Kentucky Derby. I think he had a lot to do, may have had something to do with Northern Dancer and everything. And then you move on to the new boys on the block, if we're going to go ahead really quickly. And then we have Zach Purton, coming to Hong Kong as a leading jockey in one respective state in Australia, but still had to improve his skills, which now he's a world-class jockey. And then we come to Joe. Joe had already been touted as an up-and-coming star in Singapore. When he arrived in Singapore, I understand he didn't even speak English, just Portuguese. But people were ringing me to say, you've got to get this, Joe Moreira to Hong Kong. And he did come. And he's really made Hong Kong his home. And right at this time, I would have to say that I'd like to put them on the same level. Joe and Zach are 2 superstar jockeys, and we're lucky to have them here in Hong Kong.
We are indeed, and they're both going to be riding the 2 main chances in the Group 2 Chairman's Trophy. Beauty Generation is John Moore's banner horse, lining up with Zach Purton on board. He won the race last year. His main danger, though, and a horse who's beaten him at his last 4 starts, is Waikuku. Kaying Star has been the tactical fly in Beauty Generation's ointment this season. Southern Legends back from a break. Furore, the Derby winner from last year, is having his first start for Tony Cruz, and Fat Turtle length under for Frankie Law, round out the field. He's been a wonderful horse, Beauty Generation. John, if he wins on Sunday, he goes past $100 million in prize earnings here in Hong Kong, which is unprecedented, really. You said after he's winning the Queen's Silver Jubilee Cup, you'd changed a few things with his prep. What's his prep been like this time?
You've got to remember that he's getting long in the tooth, and the same routine day in, day out, and the fact that he wasn't winning his races just told me that we had to change a few things, change his workload, change where he does his work, where he does, his gallops and so forth, what we do in the stable with him, the pool work, the machine work. Romain and myself, the riding boy, French riding boy who rides him every morning, with his feedback and what was available in Hong Kong track-wise and everything, we tweaked a few things. Also, we took his blinkers off. We put the bit lifter, the cheek and cheek pieces on, just to give him more sight, probably get him a little bit more energy into him, so forth, and that we did, and we managed to pull it off, as you said, in the Jubilee race, and that told me that what we were doing was working.
I spoke to John Size this morning, who of course trains Waikuku. Waikuku has perhaps this season had the better Beauty Generation on a number of occasions. I said, is Waikuku now the best miler in Hong Kong? And he said no. Beauty Generation still is. Do you believe that as well?
Well, that was very nice of him to say that. I'll have to thank John for that comment. When Beauty Generation was at his best, I thought he was unbeatable. But as I said earlier, he was getting longer in the tooth. And I know from the champions that I've had in Hong Kong in the past, there's going to be the day when they're going to get beaten. And when they get beaten a few times, that's when you should be retiring them.
So would this be Beauty Generation's last season?
Well, I don't. The Kwok family are going to make those decisions. I would like to think it would be his last season, but the Kwok family may wish to continue with him one more season. He is very sound. You can see nothing in veterinary records on the Jockey Club website. He's a sound horse. He is seriously feisty. He is very difficult to look after, but we seem to have that down pat now. So yeah, it's all up to the Kwok family what they do with my departure.
And speaking of your departure then, John, you've had a wonderful career here for basically 40 years in Hong Kong racing, training since 1985. This is your last season, though. What happens beyond the middle of July when the Hong Kong racing season comes to an end? Okay,
well, I've said to a lot of people that I don't wish to stop. I'm still healthy, keen, driven. I'd like to continue to train horses. I gave it great thought with my wife, of course, and the family, as to where might be the right place to continue training. And it looks at this time being very much governed by the coronavirus, with respect to movements, where and whatever, when we can get started and everything. But it's definitely looking like Rosehill in Sydney, beside Gary there. Hopefully it's beside Gary. On race day, you can tend to get a little overawed with everything, but it's
we'll see some of the celebrations from Gary on race day.
We sure have. It looks, once we can get set up, when the coronavirus, in particular in Australia, tends to peter out, we can get set up in Sydney. The stable would be made up of nearly all Hong Kong owners. For the beginning, it would be on the, I would have to categorise it more as a boutique stable. But as I said, I'm enthusiastic. I haven't won a Group 1 in Australia yet. I believe with the support of the Hong Kong owners that are willing to give me, that I'm buying yearlings for right at this time, that with their support, I think that if I can find the right horse, which I have in the past, 2 world champions, right here, representing Hong Kong on the big stage, and able to get the job done. I'm of the opinion that we can do that in Australia. We can, with the help of the new team that we're going to set up in Australia, that we can win the Group 1 that I so dearly want.
It's an exciting time for more racing then.
It definitely is. We're not finished yet.
Well, John, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show here today. Here's what's coming up in Hong Kong racing over the next week. A super day coming up on Sunday. Make sure you tune into the Trackside Live coverage. Our first race is at 12:45. The Chairman's Trophy with Beauty Generation is the first of the features. Then John will set up Aethero and Thanks Forever in the Sprint Cup. We return to Happy Valley on Wednesday night and then finish up next week with racing back at Sha Tin on Sunday afternoon. That's it for this week's edition of Hong Kong Direct. It's been a pleasure to have your company. John, just as we finish things up, of course, Beauty Generation in the Chairman's Trophy. He's trying to win it back-to-back. The only other horse to do it is Able Friend. You said Beauty Generation was unbeatable at his best. Was Able Friend unbeatable at his best as well?
He was. He definitely was. You know, Able Friend could come from anywhere in the field, where Beauty Generation tends to be, you know, likes to be on the speed all the time, where Able Friend Joe from Paul Gates would take him back, and the finish was just so exciting. It made the heart go race, you know, it made my heart race just watching him come by. Very good horses and win facile. It really, that was a very special time in my training career.
OK, well, let's look back then at one of his memorable moments, Able Friend. This is him winning the 2015 Chairman's Trophy. We hope to see you Sha Tin on Sunday.
As they're about to negotiate the turn down the 800, they have slowed the tempo. Glorious Days is back third last from Rainbow Chic, and Rewarding Hero last of all, only 6 lengths from the pace now. Coming up to the corner, and Beauty Flame shows the way. 3 parts to Secret Sham, Dan Excel. Able Friend Moreira hasn't moved a muscle at this stage. He's poised to strike, then Real Specialist, followed by Glorious Days, Rainbow Chic and Rewarding Hero. Business End coming up now in the Chairman's Trophy, and they wheel for home, and Beauty Flame with Secret Sham together. Now Moreira starting to release the brakes on Able Friend. Glorious Days and Rewarding Hero running on, but that trademark acceleration from Able Friend goes to the lead. Beauty Flame giving him a fight. Rewarding Hero running on. It's Able Friend in front, a half, 3/4. Rewarding Hero's coming late. Able Friend, he oozes class, and the champion will get it done. Able Friend from Beauty Flame and Rewarding Hero.